Good morning. Welcome to the University Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Paula Despang. My pronouns are she and her. For those of you who cannot see me, I'm a woman of many piled up years, and I'm all covered up today because that's the way I'm dressing. I'd like you to begin by turning off the noises that your phone will try to make at you, because we don't want anybody to have the attention of your phone, including you. And we will begin with committee moments. And I have a committee thing to announce. This is where committee moments happen. These flowers are Brazilian red cloak, and if you want to plant one in your yard, when we're done today, you can take one of those branches and take it home and stick it in the dirt and keep it wet. And cross your fingers and keep it wet.
Hi, I'm Janet with committees. Next Sunday after church, we're having our next Inquiring Minds meeting. The topic will be neoliberalism. And this might not, it's a very interesting topic, but you might not be familiar with it. So if you're interested in coming, and I hope you are, you can take a look in the notable news. There's a blurb, and there's a link to an introduction and readings that will help to bring you up to speed. And also, if you somehow can't find that, you can talk to me and I get to send them to you directly. So anyway, next week after the service. Thank you.
Hi, Lori Hospitality. I want to start by thanking my co-chair for having taken care of the coffee for the last month. I really appreciate that. But now that I'm back, I have the opportunity to looking for more people to help. So next week I have no volunteers right now. It's a perfect opportunity. And I've got most of the next month. So this is your big chance.
Hi, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, on behalf of meditation, just wanted to remind everyone that we have Tuesdays at 8:30 on Zoom, and then Thursdays at 8:30 here in person, and we usually go to breakfast after. So.
This is not really related to a committee particularly, but I just wanted to let everybody know that next Monday, which is the 20th, Sophia Bentoncourt, who's the UUA president, will be part of an online session basically looking at National Call for Moral Revival, trying to increase justice in our country. So it's going to be in next week's notable news. It wasn't listed there this week, but I just wanted to let you know. So I think it's 7 o'clock next Monday on Zoom if you're interested. Check out the notable news. There might be a slide on it. I don't know.
Good morning. I'm Margie with membership. Any visitors who haven't yet attended Coffee, Cake, and Chat, we're doing that after services today, about 10 minutes or so after services, give you time to get some coffee. Come on back to the conference room, and we'll get to know each other a little more, introduce ourselves, and learn a little more about what Unitarian Universalism is all about. You're very welcome. Hope you come. I have a fruit cocktail cake today. And as membership, also, this really isn't part of it, but in any case, we've been talking about doing social nights out, adult nights out, and I don't get out much, so I really don't know about what a lot of fun things there are for adults to do, but I've been thinking maybe trivia nights, but of course, with our average level of intelligence, we would trounce everybody, and you don't want to make everyone else feel bad. And then I thought, well, there's ice skating, but with our demographic, that might not be a good idea. It's just ours. But if you've got some ideas about where or what to do, share them with me so we can set up a fun evening. It could be a variety of different things we can get going. So, thanks.
The SAC is great.
What?
The SAC, the Improv Theater. Derek, Facilities and Grounds. We're going to have another go at planning the spring planting in the Memorial Garden on Tuesday at 1:15. So if anybody has, what is that, horticultural expertise that they want to share, I'll take you up on it.
On the 7th of February, we'll have our Galentine's Women's Group night. Yes, so we're going to have some board games and potluck, and so I hope everyone will come.
I'm going to speak for the men's group, which we're meeting not tomorrow night, but next Monday night at 6:30 here, and potluck, or you just come along and enjoy the company.
Good morning, Miguel Rodriguez, here for the Social Action Committee. Have an announcement that Martha sent and Kathy reminded me. There is an Martin Luther King vigil today at 2 p.m. at Shiloh Baptist Church, and it's the MLK Vigil and Interfaith Multicultural Celebration. So if anybody is willing to do carpooling, let me know after service, and we'll gather everybody who wants to go there. I won't be able to make it, but we'll try to see if we can find you a ride if you can't drive. Also, there's this announcement for next weekend, January 20th. So for such a time as this, interfaith service and moral mass meeting, for these times that we are in, I think this will also be another good opportunity to attend. Thank you.
My opening words come from Jimmy Carter's speech, acceptance speech in Oslo, December of 2002, when he accepted a Nobel Peace Prize. And the last things he said there were, "The bond of our common humanity is stronger than the divisiveness of our fears and prejudices. God gives us the capacity for choice. We can choose to alleviate suffering. We can choose to work together for peace. We can make these changes, and we must." You have opening music? You'll get the choir for opening music. chalice lighter this morning is Jo, whose pronouns are she and her. Hi, Jo. She's 5.5 years old and learned how to ride a bike without training wheels. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And we reaffirm our relationship to each other. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. I'd like to welcome our guests today. Imam brought some family, and there are other people here, faces that are new to me, and lots of familiar ones. This is good. Pleased to see you all today. Say hi to all the people online. Hello. We're going out to Facebook and Zoom. So remember, anything that you say into our microphone, it's going to be immortalized on the internet forever and ever. Say hello to the persons close to you. Make sure everybody here has been said hello to. Thank you. Wow. See, now that's a beautiful sound. As far as I'm concerned, that's what heaven sounds like. Here we share joys and concerns. When we share a joy, it's multiplied out. And when we share a concern, it's divided, and someone else helps us to bear the burden of it. So we're going to do that here, remembering that. And if you can't come to the microphone, I can bring the microphone to you.
It was my cousin's birthday on Saturday.
Hi, Chloe McElroy. I had a successful opening weekend of my show. I'm in a show with the Playwrights Roundtable. They do like a 10-minute play festival, all by different playwrights, directed by local directors and acted by local actors, obviously. I'm in a show actually that's called Tofu Ain't Rock and Roll, which is very fitting for me as a vegan of 15 years. But it is taking place at Oviedo, in the Oviedo Mall, the Imagine the Performing Arts Center. And it's happening at 3 p.m. today, as well as next weekend at 8 p.m. on Friday, and 8 p.m. on Saturday, and 3 p.m. again on Sunday. So expect to see me up here again next week talking about it. But we had a really successful opening weekend, and I'm excited about the rest of the performances. So.
As Chase said, we went to my sister yesterday. She lives in Boca. It was her baby and her wife's baby first birthday. And my 95-year-old daddy was there, and he's still sharp as a tack, and I'm so grateful for it.
I remember a wonderful vacation in California visiting my friend Bernie and her family and her daughter, and their houses are now all in ashes. I know many of you also probably have friends and relatives in California. And so we all pause to our sorrow for them.
My cup runneth over. My husband is home from the hospital, doing well. Yeah, he's back at the nursing home. He's doing very well. I bought a brand new car on Friday. I don't pick it up until tomorrow, but I'm excited. And I have a friend who has been sitting with me. So my cup runneth over this morning.
Update on the sinking house. We got one side to stop sinking. That's good news. Now, we have a new, we ordered a new laser level to measure the rest of it, but it looks like we've got two other sides that are sinking slightly. So now we got to go and debate with the builder to try and get these resolved right now. But it's not sinking as fast as it was. So, you know, I think that's progress. So.
Good morning. Tomorrow I'm taking care of my 17-year-old grandson who just had shoulder surgery. And on Tuesday I'm driving up to Niceville to help take care of my 3-year-old grandson who has to have his adenoids removed. So I have a busy week, so let's see everybody healthy. Also, Miss Ann would like to say a word or two.
For those of you that don't know, Bob passed away December 8th. We were married 73 years. He was 94 years old. And it was about time. Thank you.
I have a couple of joys and concerns from online. First of all, as many of you know, Martha Kirby had shoulder surgery on Friday, and it went really, really well. I spoke with her yesterday. She sounded like her old self, chatty, and she said she's not in a lot of pain. She won't be able to drive for 4 to 6 weeks, but she's feeling very upbeat and positive, so that's great. And the other thing is from Allie Carville. She mentioned that they're staying home because of just trying not to infect anybody with any of their germs. I think she said that her mom Jill had stomach flu or something like that. So just keep them in your thoughts and prayers. And yes, stay home if you're not feeling well and join us online.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to greet you guys with a greeting. Peace and blessings upon everybody here. I'm so joyed to be here, to be talking, listening to, and see how many people are concerned with what's going on over there. It's really, really beautiful, so thank you for having us.
Let's take a moment to hold all of those in our hearts and give a thought to those that people felt they could not share. Amen. Our time for all ages is brought to us by Lindsay Stroh, and she's going to read us a story from this amazing book that her mom wrote. Well, she and her mom and her sister, yeah, it's an amazing story.
Good morning. This is from Letters to Live By. I don't know if you have a slide for it this morning or not. Yes, there it is. We wrote this together. My mom started it for a Unitarian Sunday school on Long Island. And after I grew up, I said, let's have stories to go with the verses, and that's how this came about. Today we are doing O for Others. And there may be a slide for that. There we go. O is for others, to whom I should be kind, as I'd like folks to be kind to me. Can we say that together? O is for others, to whom I should be kind as I'd like folks to be kind to me. Owen and Oscar were twins. They were both excited as they got off the bus for their first day of school in America. In their classroom, the teacher had all the children all sit in a circle. She told them her name was Miss Oakland. You were all very special to me, she said. I want us to all get to know one another. Every one of you has a different story to tell. She smiled as she looked around the room. I want to hear them all. Who will be first? The twins poked each other and both of them raised their hands at the same time. That was not unusual. Owen and Oscar did most things together. We want English to learn good, Owen said. Some of the children laughed at Owen's words, and the brothers hung their heads in embarrassment. Miss Oakland held up her hand. That isn't kind, she said. Remember, these children used to live in a faraway place where people speak a different language. Now they must learn a second language, and that's hard to do. How many of you can speak 2 languages? Inga, a little girl with soft brown curls and a squeaky voice, sang out, I know how to say thank you in German. It's Dankeschön. My grandpa taught me. I can say da and niet, which means yes and no in Russian, piped up another girl with long blonde hair. Her name was Olga. Mommy and Daddy brought me here from Russia when I was a baby. Can we do the next slide? My mother taught me a song in Arabic, Amin cried out. When she came to America, she went to night school and learned English. My family gave me an African name, Kesha, because our ancestors came from Africa a long time ago, another girl announced proudly. Everyone had a chance to tell a story about themselves and their families. After a while, Miss Oakland had all the children stand up and hold hands. Our families come from different places with different customs and beliefs, but we all want happy, peaceful lives. We must be nice and help each other. Miss Oakland took a long piece of paper and folded it back and forth like a fan. Then she drew half of a child on the fold and carefully cut on the lines. By the way, we did this when we were doing the Pride centerpieces. Then she drew half a child on a fold and carefully cut on the lines. When she unfolded the paper, there was a whole row of children holding hands with their feet touching and their hands touching. Miss Oakland made one fan for each child and then helped them use scissors to cut them out. I hope you'll color them like real people, all different, with pink and tan and brown faces, different hair and different clothes, the teacher said. When the children were done, she showed them that the paper dolls couldn't stand up alone. They fell right over. But when she taped the ends together, the paper dolls stood up in a circle like the letter O. They need each other just like real people, Kesha exclaimed. Remember the golden rule, Miss Oakland said. Be kind and helpful to each other, just as you'd like others to be kind and helpful to you.
And so, thank you, Lindsay. We are a generous congregation. We share 40% of everything that goes into the basket with other nonprofits in this area. This time, the ACLU. And so, children are going to pass the baskets around and we're going to have some more music. Years are coming, 166. But don't try to stand up because passing baskets and standing up and singing are incompatible.
This hymn, the tune will be very familiar to you. It is very, very much like Blue Boat Home. And the message is an aspirational call to peace. Some of the words, however, are might be unfamiliar, and you will see a word in both verses that begins with F-A-L, and it's pronounced
falchion, and it's a kind of weapon. Anyway, so. Years are coming, speed them onward, when the sword shall gather rust, and the helmet lance and fortune sleep at last in silent dust. Earth has heard too long a battle, heard the trumpet voice too long, but another age advances, tears foretold in ancient song. Years are coming when forever most dread banner shall be furled, and the angel peace be welcome, regions of a happy world. Hail with song that glorious end, his sword shall gather us, and the helmet lands and the fortune sleep fast in and dust.
Sing the children out with me. We love you and bless you and send you on your way. We love you and bless you today and every day. Our speaker today is an Imam. He's originally from the Carolinas, so he's not going to trick you up with a fancy accent. His name is Abdurrahman Sykes, and he's going to talk to us about peace, about being one, about, well, all kinds of stuff. Gosh, I'll just hush and let him take over.
Good morning. It is such an honor to be with you again today. I don't know how many times I've spoken in this congregation, but every time I've been here, it's been a blessing. As we begin this meaningful conversation today, this discussion, I want to make it very clear that I intend not to be confrontational or divisive. Instead, this presentation is grounded in historical facts and offers views from a place of love, justice, and a desire for coexistence. The topic we're exploring is complex and deeply emotional. Still, I hope we can approach it with open hearts and minds, reflecting on shared principles of humanity, justice, and collective responsibility. Let us remember that protecting life and fostering peace are universal values cherished by people across most faiths and philosophies. I hope and pray that our time together inspires thoughtful dialogue and mutual understanding. I want to say that protecting the sanctity of all life is a fundamental value and objective in Islam. Peace should be the normal state of affairs between people. Underline, highlight, bold, should. Regardless of the difference in religion, philosophy, or anything else. In the 17th chapter of the Holy Qur'an, thank you. In the 17th chapter of the Holy Qur'an, the 33rd verse, take not the life of any human being which God has made sacred, except by way of justice and law. And so this justice and law is about treason, it's about murder. In chapter 5, verse 32, we ordained for the children of Israel that if anyone slays a person, unless for murder or spreading corruption in the land, it is as if they have slew the whole of humanity. And if anyone saves a life, it is as if they have saved all of humanity. And that is over 8 billion people we're talking about, folks. These verses remind us that protecting life is a divine mandate. And that peace and coexistence should be the natural state among humanity. The Qur'an calls for wisdom, justice, and collective responsibility, transcending differences of faith or nationality. We are all matrilineally and patrilineally descendants of a single couple, Adam and Eve. So we're all brothers and sisters. The Quran unambiguously mentions in chapter 4, verse 1, O humanity, reverence your guardian Lord who created you from a single person, created of like nature his mate or her mate, and from them twain scattered like seeds countless men and women. Reverence God, reverence Allah, through whom you demand your mutual rights, and reverence the wombs that bore you, for Allah ever watches over you. Humanity must live together in peace rather than in constant hostility to fulfill the purpose of their existence on earth. The Arabic word salam means peace. It originates from the same root as the word Islam. So if you hear salam sort of at the end of Islam, you hear the root. A Muslim, therefore, is supposed to be the doer of peace. My Jewish brothers and sisters say shalom in Hebrew, a word that also means peace. In the 3rd chapter of the Holy Quran, verse 64, say, O people of the book, come to common terms between us and you. I don't have a slide for these verses. In the 2nd chapter of the Holy Quran, in verse 62, those who believe in the Quran and those who follow the Jewish scriptures and the Christians and the Sabaeans, any who believe in God and the last day and work righteousness shall have their reward. But is the Palestinian-Israeli conflict about these people, the Israelites? Are these verses referring to a nationalistic political movement, or is it referring to Jews, Christians, Muslims, and Sabians? Let's look at a definition or two. I have defined Judaism as a monotheistic religion mentioned in the Quran, which I just mentioned to you. Zionism, on the other hand, is defined as a nationalistic and political movement of Jews started by Theodor Herzl in Europe in 1897 for the establishment and development of a Jewish state in Palestine. In my blurb, I said I would highlight voices advocating for justice and coexistence. the Palestinian Anglican priest, Reverend Dr. Naim Atik's book, A Palestinian Theory of Liberation, says, from a Palestinian perspective, the creation of the State of Israel has been a settler colonial enterprise by Zionism. Dr. Atik has consistently emphasized the prolonged history of Palestinian suffering and dispossession. In a letter dated January the 6th, 2024, he addressed President Joe Biden, stating, "The appalling atrocities we are witnessing will never bring an end to this 75-year-plus conflict. Instead, they will lead inevitably to an increase in violence and loss of innocent lives." What happened on October the 7th did not start October the 7th. It occurred after 75 years of oppression, controlling a nation, taking land from its people, and injuring and killing the Palestinians. Another voice advocating for justice and coexistence is Rabbi Elhanan Beck. I recommend that you watch his 1 hour, 42-minute YouTube video, Rabbi Elhanan Beck, Israel, the most dangerous place for Jews. As of 10 months ago, this video had 378,000 views. He is a man of credibility. He criticizes the Zionist authorities for controlling the availability of electricity and water for Palestinians. He questions the ability of Palestinians to rule themselves under such conditions. He argues that oppression breeds oppression. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said that oppression is worse than murder. Rabbi Beck expresses concern about the media portraying Palestinians and Muslims as terrorists and the dangers of silencing human beings. He discusses the historical context of Western support for Israel, possibly stemming from guilt over not helping Jewish people during the Holocaust. Rabbi Beck suggests that the criterion and the creation of the State of Israel has not brought safety to Jewish people and calls for a peaceful dismantling of the state. He says the least secure place for Jewish people in the world today is Israel, the city of peace, Jerusalem. Children in Israel are being taught about weapons, tanks, and soldiers. He continues, despite over 75 years of Muslim-Palestinian oppression, Jews live safely and securely in Muslim-majority countries with their institutions in Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Iran, Iraq, Yemen, and Turkey. For a year, I tirelessly traveled from mosque to mosque for Beit Amal, raising funds for the Gaza Strip. I was moving so fast I could not even remember what cities I was in, because it's every day I was just getting off another plane. In 2019, my wife and I traveled to Jordan, Palestine, and Jerusalem. I prayed fervently that somehow God would allow me to stay in occupied territory. Our tour bus failed to get us back to our hotel in Jerusalem, and we became displaced. I called my new friend from AFC, which is a play on KFC, Arab fried chicken instead of Kentucky fried chicken. And I asked him if he knew anyone in the hotel business that could possibly get me a room for that night. He said, oh yeah, come back to AFC. And if you've ever had the hospitality of an Arab, it's wide open. So we get to his store and we're sitting around for a while, and I'm like, what's happening? I mean, did you call anybody? He said, oh no. He said, you're going to stay in my home tonight. Now, he lived in Ramallah, which is Section C of occupied territory. Traveling there was an unreal experience for a 7th-generation American. Going through checkpoints with an American passport and having weapons of mass destruction pointed in my face. The following day, his daughter left for school. I think she was 14 or 15 at the time. And she was home in less than an hour. Israel retains the overarching authority and control over border checkpoints and movements in and out of Ramallah, from Jerusalem to Ramallah. Her schoolmate and friend had been shot by the Israeli soldiers and killed. And she had videotaped it. So I saw it with my own eyes. I immediately sent that video to Reverend Bill Barnes, who I have worked with for many years in community activist work and peace work. And from there, he organized a delegation, and we met with several politicians, Bill Nelson to be one, and Val Demings another. When we went through that checkpoint to leave that day, the soldier that shot her inspected our car. And they were laughing as if nothing had happened and her corpse was still on the side of the street in the gutter. Let's get back to the rabbi. He said Jews live beautifully and peacefully all over the world. And he asked this question: is what is going on in Israel decreasing or increasing anti-Semitism? And he answered his question like so many teachers do. He said Israel brought that term back into fashion in places where Jews were previously safe. So I hope you understand today my speech is not only about Muslims. Christians in Palestine have had the same persecution as Muslims. He said if they want to help Jewish people, they need to dismantle the state of Israel peacefully. Anyone who is against the created state of Israel is called an anti-Semite, he said. But the founder of Zionism, he said, Theodore Herzl, was an atheist. Now, I'm not saying anything about atheists against atheists. I love you, okay? So for all the atheists in the room, I want you to know that I love you. Okay. They have spun, he continues, they have spun their propaganda so well that if you say something about this nationalistic political movement, you hate the followers of Judaism. I love the people of the book, and I named them for you, and my religion allows me to marry them, except I'm already married. Hamas has declared many times openly, we have no problem with the Jews. We have a problem with occupiers. If the Jewish people want to live a peaceful life, they are welcome. In the English government, if they wanted to help the Jews, the wise thing to do would be to dismantle the state of Israel in a peaceful way with no bloodshed. This is coming from an Orthodox rabbi. He said Zionism is nationalism, and that is different from Judaism. He emphasized the distinction between Zionism as a political movement and Judaism as a religion. Rabbi Beck highlights that Judaism is a religion, not a nationality or race, and explains the concept of a Jew in the religion. He said, in Judaism, you cannot go away from it. You're still obligated to keep the religion once you are born a Jew. If your mother was a Jew, you're a Jew. You can't get away from it. He continues, and he contrasts Zionism's atheistic foundation with Judaism's trust in one God. Theodor Herzl, the father of Zionism, who died in 1860, was an atheist. His son was never circumcised, which is one of the basic covenants in Judaism. Ben Gurion, the state of Israel's primary national founder and first prime minister, was also an atheist. He lamented, when God exiled the Jewish people of the land, they believed the land had been promised to them unconditionally. But God promised it, he says, with conditions. And that condition was to keep the highest moral life. He goes on and he says there are 613 laws according to Jewish tradition that fulfill this high moral life. And don't worry, I'm not going to go through all 613 today. Among the top 5, he said, from Exodus 20:13, thou shalt not murder. And in Exodus 20 verse 15, thou shalt not steal. And I will add, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house or thy neighbor's wife. Even non-observant Jews practice circumcision. Our father Abraham commanded it in the Qur'an. Rabbi Beck points out the opposition of many Orthodox Jews to Zionism, even within Israel. He points out how there are Jews in Israel that refuse to accept social services until that state is dismantled peacefully. He discusses historical presence of Jewish communities in Muslim countries and the hospitality of Muslim populations. Everybody knows that the Jewish population was tiny 100 to 120 years ago in the Holy Land. And it was a wonderful life, he says, together with, he lived there, he grew up there. It was a wonderful life, he said, together with the Muslim people, because those Jews had no aspiration to take over the land. He says the Muslim people were so kind and hospitable. Unreservedly and uncontestably, he said the Islamic civilization throughout history has always treated Jews better than the Christians. When the Jews were driven out of Spain, they came to the Ottoman Empire or Ottoman Europe. And the Jews were brought back to the Holy Land by Salahuddin Ayyubi because the Crusaders had expelled them. There is a history and tradition rich of flourishing Jewish communities while coexisting with Muslims In fact, the Golden Ages are a prime example of that. This is why when you go to Morocco and Turkey, there are still Jewish quarters with Jews living there. But Fox and CNN would like you to think that we hate Jews. So let me say again, I love everybody here, and if you're a Jew, I love you. So I'll single it out. I'll be prejudiced. Rabbi Beck emphasizes again the importance of distinguishing between Zionism and Judaism. The rabbi expressed the belief that if the state of Israel rebels against God's will, it will not succeed and will eventually be dismantled. He noted the absence of peace in Israel and contrasted it with the establishment of many other countries in the past 75 years. Rabbi Beck calls for a peaceful resolution, emphasizing that it was not a religious conflict, but a matter of occupation. He encourages Jews to distinguish themselves from Zionists openly and to engage in dialogue with Muslims to dispel misunderstandings and promote peace. And now I want to move into history. I love history. The Israeli ambassador to the UN said on December the 12th, speaking to the international community and their leaders, that everything started on October the 7th. This conflict started before October the 7th. We know from history that this occupation started much earlier. And without the history that I'm going to present to you, October the 7th would never have occurred. Justice was prevented before 1948. Diverse groups started like Christian Zionism, secular Jewish Zionism, and religious Jewish Zionism. These groups all advocated that Palestine was a land without a people for the Jewish without a land. But it wasn't a land without a people. Palestinians have been in that country for many generations, but they did not consider them people and denied them existence, the Zionists. In the late 19th century, the political Zionist movement emerged, advocating for a Jewish homeland in Palestine. Early leaders like Theodor Herzl envisioned relocating Palestinians to neighboring countries to create space for the Jewish settlers. Let us look at a statement, historical context, a streamline, I should say, historical context, a brief history of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. Herzl's 1895 diary entry outlines a plan for the displacement of Palestinian populations. We must expropriate gently the private property of the state assigned to us. We shall try to spirit the penniless population across the border by procuring employment for it in the transit countries while denying it employment in our country. We will choke them out. And I put two references where this can be found, if you'd like to check my sources. As we can see here, the founders of political Zionism had a strategic plan. As early as 1895, and this was public knowledge, folks, to move the Palestinian population out of Palestine into neighboring countries, disregarding the rights of Palestinians. Britain pledged support for a Jewish homeland in Palestine where Palestinians had lived on the land for generations. The British Mandate, the Balfour Declaration of 1917, facilitated land transfers to Jewish settlers, intensifying tensions. If I decided to come along and take any of your homes, do you think there'd be a little tension? Did I hear somebody say, hell yeah, I like that. I like that. The establishment of Israel led to the expulsion of over 700,000 Palestinians from their homes and the destruction of hundreds of villages. Then came the atheist Jewish leader Ben-Gurion with his expansionist agenda. After we become a strong force as a result of the creation of the state, we shall abolish partition and expand to the whole of Palestine. In May 1948, Ben-Gurion wrote to the General Staff, "We must use terror, assassination, intimidation, land confiscation, and the cutting of all social services to rid the Galilee of its Arab population." Now you tell me where there's a law in the Bible or the Qur'an or the Torah that tells me to do this in the name of a religion. It doesn't exist, my beloved folks. This is a map demonstrating the Palestinian loss of land from the November 1948 Nakba catastrophe to 2011. When you look at Gaza today, think of people trying to survive without social services. UN Resolution 194, adopted on December the 11th, 1948, decided early on refugees wishing to return to their homes and live at peace with their neighbors should be permitted to do so at the earliest practical date, and those wishing not to return should be compensated for their property. That's a lot of people to compensate for. To this day, not one Palestinian has been compensated for their property, and they were not allowed to return to their homes. No thanks to the United States and the resolution after the revolution, the return of Palestinian refugees to their homes has been blocked. In a speech to the Somet Party on November the 15th, 1998, Ariel Sharon, then foreign minister, said everyone has to move, run, and grab as many hilltops as they can to enlarge the settlements. Because everything we take now will be ours. Everything we don't grab will go to them. And of course, this ignited the uprising. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Let's look at a few pictures. Rock throwing at tanks for Palestinians without any army to compare to the one the United States has provided for Israel. This Palestinian got 20 years for throwing a rock at this tank. The Oslo Peace Accord of 1993 between Yasser Arafat, Rabin, and Bill Clinton. What Israelis are doing is building settlements, bypass roads, and disrupting the Palestinian presence with apartheid walls of separation. Let's look at those walls. Next slide, please. How would you like to live on the other side of that when it was your land to begin with? Here is a picture after the 2008 bombing. Those are people's homes in the back. when Palestinians were unarmed and went to protest the occupation, this is what they were met with. In that particular strike, more than 20,000 died and tens of thousands were dismembered. One of these problems has to do with this, by the way, is what it looked like. My friend at AFC, when I speak to him, I can hear bombs in the background. I wish I'd had more time today because I would like to have told you just how many tons have been dropped on Palestine. More than Hiroshima, I'll tell you that much. This is the Al-Aqsa Masjid, where when I visited in 2019, an Israeli soldier stood with a weapon of mass destruction in my face and asked me what was I doing there. Because many Israeli leaders, including Netanyahu, said to the UN, construction of Third Temple will not be an obstacle to peace with Palestinians. That's what it's supposed to look like. The Gaza Strip has been besieged for the last 16 years, folks. The Gaza Strip has 5 cities, all of which have been attacked by Israeli land, air, and sea forces over the years. On Saturday, October the 7th, Israel bombarded the Strip with 180 missiles. An attack which resulted in so many fatalities. With a population of 1.7 million residents and the continuous exchange of airstrikes, how much of the Strip will remain? And finally, I want to mention Hamas. Has Hamas sought long-term peace with Israel? On many occasions, Hamas leaders extended an olive branch to Israel in the form of a 10-year truce, Hudna. Israel rejected such offers. In closing, this history and its ongoing implications remind us of the necessity of justice, empathy, and dialogue in the face of diversity and adversity. As people of conscience, we must strive to uphold the principles of human dignity and peace, fostering understanding and coexistence among all people. Let us leave here today inspired to engage in meaningful actions and conversations that honored our shared humanity and move us closer to a just and peaceful world. Thank you so much for allowing me to share 75 years of history in 30 minutes. I will hang around for questions and dialogue afterwards. Thank you again.
We extinguish this flame. Oops. Not the light of truth, the warmth of community. And we will have music. One more step. which is number 168 in this book, in case looking at the notes helps you. And we will sing all 4 verses. One more step, we will take one more step, till there is peace for us and everyone. We'll take one more step. One more word, we will say one more word, till every word is heard by everyone. We'll sing one more word. One more prayer, we will say one more prayer, till every prayer is shared by everyone. We'll say one more prayer. One more song, we will sing one more song, till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song. I have 2 thoughts in closing words. The first comes from Mother Teresa, who told us we cannot all do great things, but we can do small things with great love. And the other comes from the Buddha. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. May you love yourself just as you are, with great kindness, no matter what. I forgot the last line. Just as you are now. Yeah, just as you are. Just as you are. Okay. Go in peace, not in pieces. Stay for a little while for coffee and conversation, and know that you're loved. Oh, we have a postlude. Wonderful.